Alright, folks, this is Harris Sultan, the ex-Muslim atheist, and welcome to another episode of Sultan's House of Sin.
So let's start with the biggest news story in the last 48 hours, I'd say. When I was doing my last show in Urdu, a news story came out that a Pakistani man has gone to where Charlie Hebdo's office used to be, and he started attacking people with a meat cleaver. Before I go further, I just want to recap the whole story. There's a video that I made about 2 weeks ago on 13th of September. Check this out.
President Macron said, "I won't condemn cartoons of Prophet Muhammad." And we know that Charlie Hebdo republished cartoons. And what's been happening, as we expected, there will be a backlash. There will be an outrage. This was held nearly 3 days ago, and another show of force. Tens of thousands of people turned up. This is a show of force. Just imagine if a handful of these monkeys are let loose in a Western country. Just imagine that. I'm not exaggerating it because I have another video for you to have a look at. The only sad part is the Western governments are not taking this threat seriously. I come from that part of the world, and I know that we can't make a blanket statement against a group of people because there would be so many Harris Sultans in Pakistan who are decent people who should not be punished for the crimes of these Neanderthals, and then they should be vetted. They should be strongly vetted. Anyone coming from Pakistan or anyone coming from these Muslim countries, they should be vetted. Just imagine 50 of those people, if they were in Paris, right next to Eiffel Tower, what would they do from their own mouth? Have a look what they say.
If someone speaks against me, I will tolerate. If someone speaks against my family, I will tolerate. But if someone kills me, even me and my family will tolerate. But if someone speaks against the dignity and honor of Rasulullah alayhi salam, we will never ever tolerate this thing. Each and every one of us is ready for jihad against Gustakh Rasul. The biggest form of terrorism in the entire world is the blasphemy of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. It pinches and it hurts the emotions and feelings of 1.8 billion Muslims.
We are not going to stop. I will take revenge. I will go to France. I will kill that.
Just imagine what they would do. So you need to wake up. West needs to wake up. I'm not saying that, I have a crystal ball or look how smart I am. I could foresee this. You saw the guy at the end. I will go to France. I will kill them. You don't need to be a genius to work that out, what's going on. There's a clear conflict of interest. There's two different worldviews. There are millions upon millions of Muslims, Pakistani Muslims to be precise. And for some reason, Pakistani Muslims are obsessed with blasphemy. I mean, we never see any of these hate crimes when it comes to blasphemy from people other than Pakistan. Although 5 years ago, Charlie Hebdo attackers were actually Algerian Muslims, but which was actually very surprising as well. The why Algeria? But anyway, it just had to happen at some point. Overall, Islam does condone killing of blasphemers. We have plenty of incidents where Muhammad did authorize killing of poets who were just criticizing him. They weren't even abusive. If you look at Nadir ibn Harith poetry, all he said was Muhammad is just regurgitating ancient tales, and Muhammad had him killed. Asma bint Marwan was another poetess. She was also just criticizing Muhammad. She retaliated after the assassination of Nadir ibn Harith, and same story. There were some other blasphemers as well. So we know that there's a strong trend of blasphemers to be killed in Pakistan. But what is West doing? Why are they sleeping? Why can't they see this? Have a look at this chilling warning.
मेरा नाम ज़हीर हसन महमूद है। मेरे वालिद का नाम अरशद महमूद है। मेरा तल्लक कोटली काजी मंडी बाउद्दीन पंजाब पाकिस्तान से है। मैं यहाँ फ्रांस में मुकीम हूँ। अगर मैं जज्बाती हो रहा हूँ तो इसकी वजह मैं बताता हूँ। यहाँ फ्रांस में नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की ज़ात के हक़ बनाए गए। मैं आज 25 सितंबर रोज़ जुमा इसके खिलाफ मज़ाहमत करने जा रहा हूँ। मैं ये कलाम तमाम उलमाए अहले सुन्नत और बिलखसूस अपने पीर मुर्शिद इलियास कादरी साहब की नजर पेश करना चाहता हूँ। चमक तुझसे पाते हैं सब पाने वाले, मेरा दिल भी चमका दे चमकाने वाले।
So this is the guy, you can clearly see, he's apparently 18 years old. But look, he's actually crying. He's crying. If he's not 18, maybe he's 20 years old. I don't know, 20, but he's a young man. Why is he crying? Why is he crying that he's separated by nearly 14 centuries? He's never met him, never seen him. All he has heard about him. That's all. He's only heard about him from his local clerics, who also heard it from their clerics. This is how they're conditioned. We are told from childhood that we have to love this guy. Ooh, he was the greatest man who ever lived. We have to love him. I mean, love is also by force in Islam. I remember when I was a Muslim years ago, and obviously this is going way back when I was in Pakistan. I was like 15 years old. I remember MIRC chat came in, and that was my first exposure to people outside of my circle. I mean, people outside of Pakistan, outside of school, and to the whole world. In September 2001 had happened, and that's when I started using the MIRC internet chat box. Then I saw some Westerners, then I saw some Hindus for the first time, and they were just abusing Muhammad. And I was like, oh, how can they do this? I thought everyone loves Muhammad. You know? And I was like, what? How do I react to it? I'm supposed to be angry. And then I started being angry about it. And that's how these people are trained. And obviously this guy who he's inspired by is one of the people who's not even known for his extreme views. This is a guy, as you can see, ignore the ridiculous beard, but that's the guy he was inspired by. After my warning, that was bound to happen again. There was nothing, I mean, I'm sure the intelligence agencies, etc., they all knew about it, that something is going to happen. But what did they do? Or how are they going to tackle this from happening again in the future? This is a man arrested after a knife attack on 2 people outside the former offices of satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo told detectives he had been angered by the publication of mocking. The suspect, believed to be an 18-year-old born in Pakistan, is thought to have arrived in France 3 years ago as an unaccompanied minor. He was not known to be radicalized. See, this is the problem that West doesn't understand. It's not just a problem of radicalized one. When it comes to Muhammad, any criticism on him is not allowed. They don't get it. Even if you ask the most moderate and liberal Muslim, he would also say, nah, that shouldn't be done. He might not actually go and kill someone. That's because he loves his life too much. But deep down, he would be like, yeah, okay. I'm sure it's going to start changing now as we keep criticizing them. If we don't get attacked and criticized or labeled as Islamophobes, we're the ones who will actually liberalize liberal Muslims even more. But West has lost his case. On one hand, they want to suppress criticism of Islam. And then on the other hand, they wonder, why are these Muslims acting this way? I'm telling you again, even a liberal Muslim would not endorse criticism or mockery of Muhammad. They just would not. For them to wonder why he didn't show any sign of radicalization, well, that shows you that this is how they're trained to react. This is how, especially Muslims in Pakistan, they're trained to react that way. Now, who is this guy? Let's have a look. There was a news story, as you saw in that news story, it said that he came to France. He was born in Pakistan as an unaccompanied minor. Some Pakistanis have been looking into it. And now let me translate it for you. Around 3 years ago, this guy came to France and he applied for asylum. At that time, his age was around 15 years, reportedly. So according to sources, in his asylum application, he actually said when he was 12 years old, his parents forced him to go to a madrasa. And that's where his cleric used to molest him. He was molested for nearly 1 year. And after his senior cleric, some other older students also started molesting him. When he told his parents about his ordeal, his family members told him to be quiet. However, he got really disturbed by the whole episode, and he left Pakistan and he entered Europe illegally, and then he applied for asylum in France. Now, this is the interesting part. The French government had been giving him an allowance, and he was also illegally working under the table kind of thing. And during this, he was actually approached by some Tehreek-e-Labbaik Ya Rasulullah folks, the guy with the funny beard, Khadim Rizvi. And then he was brainwashed, and then he found himself to be the lover of the Prophet again. And then yesterday he started attacking people with the meat cleaver. So that's the story of this. Now, again, it's unconfirmed, but as I said, CNN has actually already confirmed he did come to France illegally as an asylum seeker. Now, that part of the story is obviously hasn't been confirmed whether he was molested in Pakistan, but apparently someone has read that in his application, and they're saying that he was the ground for him was that he was sexually molested. Now, why is France giving asylum to people who are sexually molested? Now, as horrible that thing is, these are not grounds for asylum. They're just not. We have ex-Muslims in Pakistan. We have ex-Muslims in limbo in other third countries, and they can't. Their lives are legitimately in danger. Who don't believe in this evil ideology, and they can't go anywhere legally. But it just shows you how broken the system is. Okay, so I just want to wrap it up by saying that, people of Europe, they need to stand up. And then I'm not against asylum altogether. I'm not, because I know there's so many ex-Muslims, there's so many Ahmadis, there's so many Christians, there's so many Hindus in Muslim countries. They need the support and help of the rest of the world. I am in support of refugees and taking asylum seekers. And obviously there are other Muslims as well, and Ahmadis are Muslims as well. There's Shias now that are starting to get persecuted in Pakistan. But the rest of the world owes nothing to the problems of Muslim countries. It doesn't owe them anything. However, we still have to maintain our human dignity. We still have to respect human rights and human life. Therefore, the vetting process needs to be very, very strict. None of this, oh, you're Muslim, you love Prophet, it's fine, we will respect your right, we are a secular country, blah. No. Just make sure you vet them as strongly as you can. It might even be condemned by some human rights groups, but the vetting is the first and foremost criteria. It has to be. Otherwise, you'll keep seeing these kind of incidents. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.